A growing number of students facing homelessness in public school districts across Western Mass. Now school leaders are working to fight that issue as the rising cost of living is cause for concern. Western Mass News is getting answers on how many students are being impacted and why that number could be growing.
Home instability is an issue plaguing several public school districts across the state and here in our area. The McKinney-Vento Homeless Education Assistance Act provides equal access to schools for all students experiencing homelessness. Under that act, students in that category are those that share houses with others, live in shelters, hotels or motels, or are unsheltered, living in cars, parks, or campgrounds. Western Mass News is getting answers on how many students are being impacted here in Western Mass. In Springfield, 5% of their student body is facing housing insecurity. About 2% of students in Chicopee and in Westfield, less than 1% of students in grades pre-K through 12 are classified as homeless. The district with the largest population of students facing housing instability, Holyoke.
There are about 5,100 students currently enrolled in Holyoke Public School. Now about 10% of those students are facing housing insecurity.
Some students leave the district, but the main reasons what I hear families say is because they couldn't find the help they needed in these areas.
Jennifer Gonzalez experiences firsthand the struggles these students are working to overcome while receiving an education, as she works directly with the families facing housing insecurity in the Paper City.
It went down to the 400s during the pandemic, and I think that has to do because we were working from home, and it's hard to talk to someone.
But those numbers have since shot up. Western Mass News breaking down the data further. 527 students are considered homeless in Holyoke. 288 live in shelters. 208 share houses with others, also called doubled up. 29 live in hotels or motels, and 2 are considered unsheltered. And Gonzalez believes this will be a continuing trend.
Do you see the number of students that are in this insecurity category going up over the next year, 5 years, 10 years, or do you think we'll be able to combat that and bring it back down?
If something is not done soon, I think we're going to see more students going into shelters or hotels, losing their housing because families can't afford, and the rents are going really high and outrageous.
As the cost of living continues to rise, Holyoke Public Schools is working to help out students in other ways.
We have multiple partnerships with community providers. One of them is Cradle to Crayons out in Boston. They provide seasonal clothing for our students, winter coats, hats, and mittens, gloves. We also provide bus passes for parents to assist to any school activity. It could be meetings or teacher-parent conferences, after-school activities.
Teachers and staff in the district are also there to assist students emotionally as well.
Staff at the schools are trained under McKinney-Vento, and we have family access and engagement coordinators, and we work really close together. So if any staff identify a student experiencing housing instability, they are referred to our office.
But Gonzalez believes if access to affordable housing does not increase, this will be a growing issue.
We have a few families that have been able to secure low-income housing. I think that there is a lack of affordable housing, not enough available, especially within Holyoke.
And Gonzalez advises anyone facing housing insecurity to get on the wait list for low-income housing in their community as soon as possible.